I'm Gabe Lullo, and welcome to the Do Hard Things podcast. We're talking to go-to-market leaders and entrepreneurs who have conquered the challenges, the hustle, and the grind. Get ready for real talk, real insights, and no fluff.
But the hardest thing in the world right now is not actually closing deals, it's actually getting somebody's attention.
If you don't have that hook in that first 5 to 10 seconds, guess what? They're going to scroll to the next one.
You need to go in and you need to make it sound like yourself. That's the biggest piece of the puzzle. And I promise you, we can all tell.
The people that are trolls and the people that are haters never done the thing that you're doing.
I love doing this podcast because I get a front row seat to some of the greatest minds in sales.
Gone are the days of saying stay in your lane. When you're an executive leader and you're an enterprise-wide leader, there are no lanes. You've got to be partners.
Curiosity is like when the type of questions you ask is sometimes the value that you bring.
I need you to tell me when you're ready to buy or what you're ready to do. And I think it's changed so much into like adding more value. And if you're not doing that, then you're definitely going to come off as desperate.
High pressure selling is like a dinosaur tactic at this point.
No parent is like, oh, you should be a salesperson when you grow up, right? Everyone's like a doctor, lawyer, whatever crap. It's never salespeople.
It's not your job to motivate people. It's your job to find motivated people.
It's not cockiness. It's not arrogance. It's confidence knowing I know this and I know that I can help you.
From where I started to where I am today is all because I learned how to sell.
And there's too many people who have only been doing this for 5 freaking minutes. Sit down, close your mouth, actually go out there and get yourself beat up. Then come back and tell me if something is dead or not.
That is exactly why I started this podcast, because right there, that's the epitome of doing hard things.
Welcome back to the Do Hard Things podcast with Lexi and Gabe. Today's guest, Chason Forehand, is on a mission to end cycles of poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity through Transformation Kitchen, a program built on one simple philosophy. We don't just flip eggs, we flip lives. Chason is the founder of HR for You, where he empowers change-driven companies and leaders to advocate for their employees with living wages, worth, and well-being. With over 45 years of experience spanning culinary, human resources, and DEI, Chason has developed grassroots, people-first approach that earned HR for You the Platinum Seal of Transparency from Candid Guide Star for 4 consecutive years. Transformation Kitchen provides participants with skilled training, community, wellness checkups, healthy meals, and pathways to living wage careers. Chason believes everyone deserves a safe space to call home, consistent across nutritious food and the opportunity to make a living wage. And he believes companies can thrive while making that happen. Chason, welcome to the show.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Do Hard Things podcast with Gabe and Lexi. We're so excited to have you, Chason, on the show. We just heard your bio, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. We have a lot of great questions prepared. We're so excited to hear your story and where you come from and what you're doing and all of your projects. But I guess we always ask the origin story, right? We need to know, where do you come from? What makes you tick, and why are you so passionate about, what got you here? So take us through that mission and let us know a little bit about you.
Well, I'll do the high overview. I'm a kid from a large Irish family. There was 6 boys. I'm the oldest, and we come from a lot of abuse. So our biological mother was physically very abusive, and my dad fought until we were 5 to get us separated so that she didn't have access to us, and then actually moved out of state to get away from her, with the court's blessing. And that's unheard of for the early 60s for a guy who was finishing college and was working, to try to put food on the table, but he managed to do it. And then married too quickly and went on the road to put food on the table, was traveling 5-6 days a week. And my stepmother just kind of dropped right in the same role, less physically abusive, but more really mentally abusive and psychologically. You can't see those scars until later down the road. So as I got older, I got to be an angry young Irishman, and really it started to come out in a lot of strange ways. And in my household, we weren't allowed to, B's were not allowed. So you were a straight A student, or you were going to spend time in your room forever. And I loved the outdoors. I ran 8 miles a day. I played a bunch of sports. I wanted to be outside. And I think that was the beauty of, not having all the tech that we have today. I just wanted to be in nature. There's no such thing as cell phones and computers and all. That wasn't, coming around it wasn't until later that was happening. So I went to college, and that was the moment that all the guardrails were off. At 15, I started in the culinary world. At 16, I started taking drugs. And my first year of college, literally with no guardrails, being out of the house, being away from all the things, not having, not knowing how to process everything that had happened to me over the last 17 years, but now just having the freedom to just act out. It wasn't even a year. I ended up from straight A, graduating top of the class, being accepted to all these fantastic schools like this one, and, you know, being a guy on academic probation. Then the second year, I actually got into a lot of trouble with the drugs I was taking, tried to take myself off the board. And the third year, I was forcibly removed from school and incarcerated. From that moment, it really, like, the journey just twists and turns and all of that, till I finally met up with a chef that cared as much about people as he did food. And that's really unique in that world, in the culinary world. It is a churn and burn. It just fed my addictions. And this person was 10 years clean and sober themselves, saw me for who I was and saw my abilities, and told me that they were going to pay it forward to me, and became a mentor and a friend and my sponsor, and helped me get clean. And that changed my life. And so now what we do is work to pay it forward to other people so we can change lives for others.
Wow, what a story and a great example of how you can really turn things around, especially and keep doing those hard things. And I know you guys have a powerful tagline. We don't just flip eggs, we flip lives. Walk us through what that actually means and what inspired Transformation Kitchen.
I absolutely love that tagline, and I can't take credit for it. Our merch ladies, Ginger and Tisha, came up with that, and it was on the back of our first T-shirt we ever did. And I was in tears. It just, like, hit me. And that is, we talk about Transformation Kitchen, that when you join, you're joining a forge, because you're transforming your life. It is an elevator out of your circumstances permanently. But once you join the forge, you are in for life. One of the differentiators from what we do to all these other culinary places out in the world that teach the same things is how many other things we add into the program, and the fact that you can come back forever. There's no end to the services. It's not you go through 12 weeks and then what happens to you 6 months, a year, 5 years down the road. How we grade ourselves on how well we're doing is by that. Where are you? Are you still making a living wage? Are you still in a housing situation that's right for you? Are you still drug-free, addiction-free? How are you living? Are you thriving? Because the program is to get you to a place where you can thrive, where you can feel good about yourself, where you could still put food on the table and you can clothe yourself and you can do all the things, but that you're moving in a positive direction forward. So the only way we can grade ourselves is if that perpetuates on and on in life. So the reason we put it together, again, my story, and then seeing how broken it is out there, being a person who needed services, who needed that immediate, Band-Aid to take care of me, to get me from this day to the next day. But what were we doing after that? And that really struck me. It's like, Okay, this is great. And yes, I needed a sandwich. I needed a bowl of soup. That may have been my only meal that day. But what's next? There's got to be more. And so we take it very personally and intentionally to create a program with the 120 plus partners in 10 countries to develop people's skills, not just in the culinary field, but life and power skills to enable them to move forward. And that really is the change.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's organizations out there that just silo, right, their approach to just job training, right? But you're doing skill training, you're doing community wellness checkups, healthy meals, living wage careers. So why is it important really to address all of those things together instead of just focusing on that one job training?
It's it's such a fantastic question, and I wish more people would ask it, especially more people that are in the nonprofit realm that are doing it. When we don't have a holistically sound, well-rounded human, then there's gaps, and those gaps bring you back to your old life. I know that personally because it wasn't like I flipped a switch and all of a sudden I'm clean. I'm drug free. It's not that easy. And the road is, all over the place. What I want to see is that people are doing the work and we're helping them with everything they need so it takes the pressure off of them. They can continue to do that work. The work is hard enough. It's hard enough to break free from your addictions. It's hard enough to put your hand up and say, I need help. Why make it harder for people? Let's give them all the tools and resources they need so that they can elevate out. It is only good for everyone. Everyone wins. Communities win. Businesses win. Our government wins because you've got people that are working and paying taxes and doing the thing. And then they're adding to the environment because they're going and paying and buying groceries. And you have this reciprocal cycle of change and it has a rippling effect. So it is a win for everyone when we get people off services and on their own, standing on their own 2 feet.
I love that. And I'd love to dive a little bit deeper into that. What does success really look like for someone going through the program? And are you seeing different types of outcomes? Is it different for everybody? What's the most exciting for you when someone goes through the program?
Well, we beta tested this. So we have part of Transformation Kitchen has a mobile outreach. Right now, we only do it quarterly, but I want to be doing it like monthly. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind doing it weekly. But we have a thing that we call Love the Block. We get in free food from our partners. We create a menu. Then we go to the food deserts and we prop up. We give out free food and resources and tools and talk to people about TK and about what their struggle is, etc. But here's the thing. I'm not handing you a sandwich. I'm not handing you a bowl of soup. You get to choose. The psychological impact of you having choice, of you being able to look at that menu and say, hey, I'll take this, this, and this. How powerful that is, it can't be overstated. So our first chef that did that with me had someone he wanted to bring along, a guy that was struggling to find a job. He was a 2-time felon, had a rough time of it. We brought him along. His name's Artez Jackson. I will never forget how excited he was to be doing this and showing other people. And he really didn't even know all that we were doing, but he's telling people and he's talking about it. And he's almost like recruiting. And as we got to work with Tez was he was our beta test. We got to work with him. I got air in my office. He got to sit and we would do wellness checks and we would do those conflict resolution, training seminars. And we got him housing. We got him a living wage job. He's off drugs. He's out of prison. He's clean, doing all the things he's supposed to be doing, and he's thriving. That, as I keep watching the Tezes of the world, do that work, that lights me up. That lights me up. And so that's what success looks like to me.
Jason, you are the epitome of doing hard things. I'm so happy you're on the show, man. I mean, coming from your childhood and the turbulence with the family and being incarcerated and then pushing through to this organization, it's incredible to see. So, of course, we've heard a lot about the challenges in your story, but I'm sure there's been challenges, right, in building and scaling from a business perspective. A lot of business owners listen to our show. So let's talk business for a second.
Sure.
What gaps, what, turbulence, what things have you been, tripping over that you pushed through on in building and scaling the program and the organization?
I think that's a daily challenge. I think it is. A nonprofit is a business just like anything else. And that's the reason why a lot of nonprofits fail, because 67% of them fail in the first 5 years because they don't treat it like a business. They have a great idea. They want to save the world, but you got to build the foundation and make it stick. So we've been very intentional about the steps that we take. The board, the advisory board, our committees, the 120 plus partners in 10 countries, all of the things that we do and the steps we take, we are very intentional about. And as we grow, we look at how does that stretch us as an organization? What are we going to need? What is our impact? And are we staying true to our mission, vision, and purpose in every step? So last year, when I spent 21 days on the ground in Matagalpa, Nicaragua, building out our very first TK, and my mind's blown because I'm like, how am I not doing this in the States? The doors had just opened. And so we really watch the signs and go through the doors that open and are very clear on what is not the easiest path, but what is the path that makes the most sense at the time. So we look for other organizations that we can combine forces with, that both organizations, theirs and ours, are in alignment with our mission, vision, and purpose. And it's all about people and how many people can we impact. So Rio de Sol in Matagalpa, Nicaragua was doing amazing things and had the ability for us to come in quickly and do some amazing work. And now hundreds of people go through that on a monthly basis. It's incredible. So as we look at this year and what that looks like and the steps that we take, the challenges are how can we grow and what does that look like? And again, stay true to our mission, vision, and purpose. So, I mean, there are a lot of challenges. There's always challenges, especially in the nonprofit world, coming up with the funding and doing the things. But we have been very blessed to have the right doors open when we needed them to. So
That's awesome. And something I'd love to also talk about is online, I've seen that you believe everyone deserves to make a living wage. What do you think is the difference between a living wage and minimum wage, and why does it matter for businesses and communities?
Oh, ooh. How much time do we have again? Holy cow. I will not jump on the full bandwagon here, but I'm going to tell you how much I'm very passionate about this. What this means to us is simple. Since 1990, the United States has not changed the $7.25 that it has created as the minimum wage standard in the US. So each state and each city can decide on where they go, but they can't be lower than $7.25. Now, can you imagine making $7.25? My first job, I made $3.10. And I thought I hit the lottery because it was my first job. So I'm just excited. I couldn't even imagine making $7.25 where I live. I wouldn't be able to function at all. The difference between minimum wage and minimum wage in my area is $15 an hour, but that's not living wage. People a lot smarter than me at MIT created a living wage calculator. In my area, for example, they calculated that the base minimum for a living wage is $18.10. All right. So the minimum's 15. They calculated based on the cost of living in this area. They do all their calculations, all those smart people that are there, and they've come up with 1810. So our base on anything that we're going to do is $20 or more. We're not going to pay anybody less than $20 to do anything with us. So that when they work with us, they are going to have a chance to thrive. The difference, to go back to your question, is whether or not someone just survives or they thrive. Because minimum wage doesn't even allow you to thrive. Barely does a living wage by the calculator allow you. You just have enough resources if you're savvy to take care of everything you need. So are we creating the resources so people can be savvy, so they don't get into credit card debt and end up like owing more than they bring in? There's a lot to that. And so that's why we don't even start below 20. And anybody that works with us, we're looking at what's a fair wage? What are we asking them to do? How can we step up and do better?
I love this. So my mentor said to me a long time ago, Gabe, you get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. And if you want to make more, you have to be more valuable, right? And it was all about investing in my self-worth was the way to raise the barometer of what I made and what people make based on the value you bring to the marketplace. And you talk a lot about worth and you talk about it in ways alongside well-being and wages. So what does worth mean to you in your context? Is it similar to mine? And what are companies doing wrong or getting wrong when it comes to building worth versus just building wages?
There's two questions. So the first one is, to me, I agree with you. I think you continuously add value to yourself. You push yourself to do hard things. I'm an introvert. I'm socially awkward. It may not seem like it when we're having this type of conversation. I just came back from an event in Atlanta where I spoke. And as I get to the table, I sit down and I'm trying to get a glass of water and my hand's shaking so bad because I push myself to do the things that are really uncomfortable and to keep doing that and keep leaning into learning. Albert Einstein said something I absolutely love. We are either constantly learning or we are starting to die. And I believe that. I believe I'm constantly learning. I devour books. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I love your guys' podcast. I appreciate the value of bringing in knowledge, but knowledge has to have action in order to create power. So you've got to do the work. The other side of that, what are companies doing wrong? They're not pouring into people and asking them what tools they need. They're not giving people the tools and the resources they need because everybody learns differently. What do you need in your role and what you're doing? How can I show up for you? What can I give you to make this better so that you will be more productive? Because when they're happier and they're more productive, the bottom line, the bottom line thrives. It's a win for everybody. And so that's what leaders forget.
So when leaders say, I'd love to pay more, but I can't afford it, what's your response to that? And how do you really help them make the case for living wages?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say, and just to keep it clean, is to say, that's a bunch of badonk-donk. You know, you absolutely can't afford not to take care of people. It's the polar opposite of what you're thinking. You're thinking with a scarcity mindset that I can't do X, Y, and Z because I'm looking at this P&L and this bottom line and I'm going, man, I'm barely making it. But if you start to take the steps, and it doesn't mean you go through your entire payroll and you just start handing out money. That's the misconception. The idea is you start taking intentional steps to give people what they need, to listen to them, to actually do the work yourself and to show up. And then you start to see where you have those ability and the opportunity to start paying people better because you're now thriving more and there's more in the bottom line. There's more padding. It's a process. It's not a switch. And that's what people forget.
I love it. I love it. So you believe there's a way that companies and their teams can thrive while doing this work. So how do you balance profit and purpose? And companies, can they really do both?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most profitable companies are those that are driven by purpose. You see all of the younger generations coming in and they refuse to work for a company that doesn't have purpose. We're in a what I would call a dumpster fire of a hiring market right now. And the incredible thing is that there's problems on all sides of the fence. But really, when it comes down to it, if you're an organization, you should have a mission, vision, and purpose. And everybody on your team should know what that is. And they should feel that in their core. And they should feel like they are part of that you believe in them and that you need them and that they are part of what the company is doing. That ties everybody in and it makes the culture stronger. And when there's strong cultures around mission, vision, and purpose, we magically have companies that are thriving and doing well. And the people thrive and their families thrive and then communities thrive. It's that rippling effect.
Totally. And a lot of companies online will talk about their values, but what do you think really separates those who have a change driven company? And what does that actually look like?
It looks like action. It looks like less rhetoric and more action. So, you know, it's not necessarily going and looking at all the reviews of their company. That's part of it, but also how companies show up outside. Like, what are they doing for their community? What are they doing for their people? How is that documented? And what are their people saying when they're not under the gun and under the mic to like just deliver? We want you to go on social media and tell everybody how great we are. We want you to vote on this thing because that's going to show that we're number one in this category. No, what do they do on their own because they feel compelled to do it? That's the difference. It's the action.
Yeah, definitely. How can someone, whether they're a business leader, founder, or individual, get involved and really start creating this positive change in their community and at their work?
I It's intentionality. Completely and utterly being intentional about having a mission, vision, and purpose that impacts people. Start taking the steps to surround yourself with people that are stronger than you and fill in the gaps for the things that you are lacking. Really understanding yourself as a leader and knowing, hey, these are my strengths and weaknesses. This is what I'm going to work on as a human. This is what I'm continuously doing. And then I'm going to surround myself with brilliant people that fill in the gaps and know how to do the other stuff that I'm not great at. And then let them do that and give them the tools they need in order to be successful and continue to communicate throughout the entire process. And it's so beautiful when it's working the right way, when it's happening. It's so impactful and you see it and you see the rippling effect. Uh, it's it means the world to me. And I know it means the world to other people when they see it as well.
I love it. So you work with leaders to stand up, speak out, take action. What's your advice to these leaders that are listening today that can get involved?
Absolutely start taking the steps. Do the internal audits of yourself first and then of your leadership staff at all levels and really get a handle whether if you're not capable of doing that or you don't have people inside that are going to do that, in a really unbiased way, as much as we could be unbiased as human beings, because we all have biases, but get someone to help you. Otherwise, find a company outside that can come in and help you so that you could start to do the work and create the internal mechanism that is going to drive that change. And it's constant. It's not a one and done. It's not, oh, we brought all these people in, we paid all this money, they did this, they did this program, they did some ERGs, we did this, that, and the other, and then all of a sudden we're out. No, it's constant day in, day out work. And if you're not willing to do it, then it's not going to matter.
And it's beyond just writing checks for these companies, right? They have to get involved. They have
Exactly.
to. Give me some advice. Like, what are some things that they can do to address homelessness, food insecurity? What are some action items? You were talking about action, like, just knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is where the real power comes in. What can these companies do beyond just writing checks?
Yeah, besides internally taking care of their people to try to make sure that their people don't become a statistic of being unhoused or in poverty, being food insecure, making sure that they tag into other organizations. Maybe it's volunteering. Maybe it's having your people that have said, "Hey, we really like this organization over here that's doing this great stuff that's 5 minutes down the road, and we'd like to do a drive and help them pack up boxes, or we're going to take stuff with them to go to the food insecure." Your time, your talent, your treasures. There's three things, and it doesn't always have to be about treasure. Your time and your talent is just as valuable. Having organizations that will talk and be on boards and be on advisory boards and be volunteers. And jump to social media to say, "Hey, here's a fantastic organization in our own hometown. We do some work with them. You guys should check them out." That's powerful because they're going to have different people in their social circles than I have. And you just now brought all those people to my door. And there's a lot of power in that people don't really utilize. And that's simple. How heavy a lift is that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And for those listening, business leader, founder, someone who really wants to make a difference, they're seeing this, they're agreeing with everything you're saying, but they really just don't know where they should start. What do you think the first step should be? Should it be going to that social media group, or is there something that you think is more influential or something that they should start with?
Start having conversations. Like find the places around you in your own community and just start having conversations with them before you take any other steps to like volunteer, join a board, whatever. Really understand what drives you personally. What do you appreciate and what do you want to be involved with? What triggers for you and makes it something that you care about? Why is it important to you? Because then it'll mean something more as you start to do it. And then just start having conversations with those leaders of those organizations to see what they need and where they're at. That would be the first step.
Chason, you're the man. Thank you so much for coming to the show. We appreciate you sharing your story, and you said you're socially awkward. I don't see that at all, man. You're a very charismatic guy, and you're driven, and we love that. We're so excited about your passion. Where's the best way for people to reach out to you? Is it online? Just plug your sites, plug your content, plug your LinkedIn.
Yeah, sure. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the place we're most seen, but also our website. We have tons of views there. HR the number 4, the letter U.org.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for welcoming to the show.
Oh,
We're
thank
so
you
excited
both.
for
I
our audience
appreciate
to
it.
hear this. We appreciate it. To all of our audience members, keep doing the hard things. Follow Chason, get involved, and we will definitely see you next week on the next pod. Thanks, everyone.